as you know, this Jubilee debate with Mehdi Hasan went viral. And the reason why, there's a lot of reasons why a lot of these clips went viral. First of all, I think there were a lot of crazy people that were debating Mehdi Hasan, Nazis and fascists, and it was absolutely bat-you-know-what, off-the-wall crazy. So the guy we have with us in studio right now, I don't consider him one of those people, even though we might not agree on everything. He was one of those people that was debating Mehdi Hasan, and I wanted to get him in studio to kind of talk about that. His name is CyrusHojjaty. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right,
yes,
Cyrus.
Thank you.
And you were one of those people that debated Mehdi Hasan. Thank you for being here. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. First radio show. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. Let's get right into this. There were a lot of people in this debate, one of whom called himself a fascist and a Nazi sympathizer. There was another guy there that was telling Mehdi Hasan, go back to your country. I'm wondering, what is going through your mind? What the hell is going through your mind when you see some of these crazy people? It sounded like they were white supremacists. What is going through your mind when this is happening?
I thought they were very harsh, definitely. I thought that when they were saying these things to him, I was like, come on, hit the brakes. Just don't shake him up too much. What do you got against this guy? Have a calm, civil debate. And I don't want to be misunderstood. I originally didn't want to go on this title or the theme of the show. Originally, it was supposed to be 20 people versus one against DEI. And then they canceled that segment, so I just picked far right because it was the only slot available. And I was visiting my relatives in Southern California. That's where their studio was. So I just wanted to say, hey, I just want to be on the show, and I wanted to talk to Mehdi and just get my word out there.
But Cyrus, I think some of these people in that, and I'm not categorizing you in this group, but a lot of people in this group, I just thought they were absolutely despicable people. The things they were saying, the racism, the bigotry, the hatred. And Mehdi Hasan, say what you want about the guy. I haven't always agreed with him, but I think he's a really intelligent guy.
Yeah.
And I thought he showed a lot of composure. You have people that are saying, get out of our country. He's a U.S. citizen.
They've told me that too.
Well, how could you talk to what? Okay, let me play a clip and then let's get into this, because this is the part that we're probably going to disagree on. This was you, okay, Cyrus, debating Mehdi Hasan on this Jubilee debate. And I want to play this first clip. This is clip number 1. And this is Cyrus debating Mehdi Hasan. Have a listen to this.
I understand that there are people in this audience that don't like me or you in this country, and I respect that. There's some that don't even want me to date a blonde woman. They want to keep to their own, or ginger or whatever. I respect that.
Why? Why would you respect someone that, Cyrus, I think you're a nice guy. We've met before. Why would you respect somebody who judges you based on the color of your skin? Why would you say that?
Well, it's a very rude and harsh thing to do. And again, when it comes to dating, it's the same concept. They don't want to lose their influence in this country or around the world. A lot of them still tell me, stay away from those women. We are not comfortable having you here.
Well, they're racist. They're horrible people that say that to you.
It's their freedom of speech.
Listen, I agree.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
I agree. But there's a difference, in my opinion, Cyrus, between freedom of speech and saying, I respect you. For example, if there's somebody on the street right now that says, I hate black people, or I hate white people, or I hate Jews, whatever the case, yes, it's freedom of speech. But if I drive by them, I would probably throw out an expletive and I'd say, you're a horrible human being. I wouldn't
It's a crappy thing to do.
Well, it's just, you're a horrible person.
You know, one of the marchers in Charlottesville, Patrick Casey, he had an organization. He deliberately told me, you can't join. And I'm like, how could you judge me just from my outside to think automatically I'd be a negative influence on your organization? That's what I'm opposed. Judging individuals is not the same as groups.
But why do you respect those people? I don't understand.
They have their points of view, and everybody's points of view. Communists, it doesn't matter. You have to allow them to speak, provide evidence, and make informed decisions.
Okay,
maybe there might be 1% of something they may be right.
But if somebody starts squealing out the N-word, your response.
No.
Well, what these people were doing in here to me was just as bad.
What they were doing does not reflect what I was spewing.
I'm not saying you're this person. I'm not trying to attack you.
I'm just making sure.
I'm not attacking you because you weren't making those statements. All I'm trying to understand from you, and let me play another clip, because this is another clip. And by the way, I wish you had more time to debate Mehdi Hasan, because I actually thought you were one of the more reasonable people, and I've said that. But this is the point where I believe Mehdi Hassan
There they
agrees
are.
with me, and this is clip number 2, where you're getting into it with Mehdi Hassan about these crazy people with their weird views.
Part of the reason he got in is that people in this room want people like me and you to leave, and they voted for him to try and make that happen.
I'm not surprised. One of the Charlottesville marchers doesn't like me, and I've met those people, and I respect their views.
You really shouldn't.
Well, they're
Don't
wants.
Don't respect racists and fascists, is my advice to you.
Well, they have their preferences. That's just, we can't change that.
Actually, we can. That's why I tried to come in today, but anyway.
All right.
So that's the point that I'm trying to make, and I agree with Mehdi Hassan. You're talking about Charlottesville when Donald Trump said there are good people on both sides. It's a difference between having it, like we probably have different points of views on Donald Trump, and we'll get into that. My point that I'm trying to make is I want people like you in this country. I don't care what the color of your skin is. I would never tell you to go back to your country.
Same here.
And I don't respect people that are racist. I don't respect people that judge people based on skin color.
I think I used the wrong term. I was so
Okay.
nervous, and
Fair
I just
enough.
I had
Okay.
a word fart or whatever.
Okay.
But here's the thing. It's the same equivalency if somebody said that I hate white people. I want to bring millions into this country to outnumber them. I want them to be gone in the UK and Europe. And I think they're the scum of the earth. It's the same equivalency of that, and I'm Persian of Iranian descent. We personally say nasty things about every race, including white people.
Which is also wrong.
Yeah.
And I think Mehdi Hassan is pretty consistent, and I think I'm very consistent on that. There were some white people in that crowd that sounded like a Klan rally, Cyrus. I'm not gaslighting here. It sounded like you were sitting at a Klan rally. And
It's dark.
It was hard for me to watch that. It was hard.
Yeah.
Okay. And these are not people on the left. I'm sorry,
Well,
they're just not.
Well, here's what I wanted to talk about Piers Morgan. I just want to get to the chase. I don't care, let's just say, for an example, if we had European immigration come to the United States, okay, we're still going to have many of the same problems: traffic, schools, language. We have many European immigrants living in Las Vegas competing for jobs. It's the same, similar kind of whatever. But I believe that the Chamber of Commerce, Wall Street, the politicians don't have our best interests in this art. That's what bothers me.
I think most of them don't. I agree with you.
And there was some, Hispanic music next door. That didn't bother me, but it does bother some people.
Well, they're idiots. Why can't you?
But it bothers them.
They're idiots.
No, but
it shouldn't bother them.
But
they're
if you
idiots.
had
They're
100,000 of them move to Japan and South Korea and Philippines, it's going to create a little bit of distrust.
Okay, but if somebody doesn't like Hispanic music because it's a different language, or they don't like rap and they make incendiary comments, they're idiots. Now listen, if I don't like a certain type of music, it's not because of the color of their skin or the origin of it. I don't like country music. It's not because most country singers are white. I just don't like the music.
Me too, for the most part. What I'm pointing out is that diversity has issues. My aunt lives in Tehran. They've had some Afghan refugees. Afghan refugees are kind of like the Latinos of that country doing low-level jobs. She's unhappy about it. You find that every country in the world, you do polls, you'll show that they're less likely to want to live with a neighbor with a different race or have an immigrant as a neighbor. America is a relatively tolerant country around the world.
These days, I'm not so sure, but would you consider it a point of view?
In India, China,
but if somebody
Russia,
says to you, like they did in this Jubilee debate, some did to Mehdi Hassan, get out of my country. You consider that a point of view. I consider it a Klan. I consider it a racist. Yeah,
you're
bigot.
judging somebody's on their individual.
That's not a point of view. You're just a racist.
And just because you disagree with their politics is not a legitimate reason. So it's one thing if Mehdi had serious problems, a horrible past, maybe some, a bunch of things that could not filter through the immigration system. That's a different story. But you just judge by
But that's what a lot of those people. You weren't. Again, I'm going to emphasize you weren't one of these people. But there were a lot of people in that room that were like that. They're dangerous. These are dangerous people. They don't want people like you in this country. They're racist. They want America to look white. Don't you think that's the base of Donald Trump? And we'll get to Donald Trump, but
minority. Majority of them, I don't believe that.
You really don't believe that?
There's a minority that believe that, and absolutely.
Then why is it that when I go to a Trump rally, or when I did, 99% of the people that I saw at that rally were white people? Why is it that the Republican Party...
Not here in Las Vegas.
Well, I've been to a few, and I can tell you the overwhelming majority of people that were at his rallies were absolutely white.
The voting statistic did shift. For
94% of black women didn't vote for Donald Trump. 80% of black men didn't vote for Donald Trump.
Young black men did shift.
Well, that might be true, but there's what, 12 or 13% of people in this country are black. Less than 1% of people are elected Republicans. Why is that? Why is there so few minorities within the Republican Party compared to the Democrat Party?
That's a very long story. I think it's just how they market themselves. There's a lot of other factors. But
could it be policy? Could policy be a factor?
Absolutely, I do think that is. But I want to get to the heart of this issue because I spoke with Mehdi about this, and I'm not saying the U.S. should be like this, but when you look at countries like the U.K. or Iran or Japan, their cultural traditions matter. And these countries are smaller, they're more historic, and I would be upset if Tehran became a minority Persian city because it would get to the point where the culture would be diminished. You know, for an example, if they just said, we're gonna import a bunch of sub-Saharan Africans into, let's say, Tehran or Tokyo, it would change the culture and the realm of those cities.
But you're allowed to be whatever you want to be. Why do you care so much about people from other cultures coming to certain areas? I mean, in my opinion, in the United States,
cultural preservation.
Listen, I don't have a lot in common with evangelical people on the right, but I'm not going to tell them what to believe.
The U.S. is different.
I'm not going to tell. Okay, well, let's talk about the U.S.
The U.S. is different than the U.K.
Okay,
I think
enough.
the U.K., when they're losing their British population, that concerns me. And I think it's the European population are mainly successful for their development, and just to recklessly bring people from less fortunate societies to more developed societies is not the way to do it, depending on how it's
I'll tell you what concerns me more. People who judge others based on race, people who judge others based on religion. We have a lot of people like that in this country, and I'm not so concerned about races or religions and where they decide to live. They should be able to live wherever they want to. Because in Las Vegas, tourism is way down. People are getting killed.
Well, Fremont isn't doing so bad, and I think some of it has to do with the management of the casinos.
All right. Well, I mean, I can give you some statistics.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah.
I'm saying that you can 100% blame it on one person, though, just like you can 100% blame inflation on Joe Biden. In fact, I don't think he was even the main.
Well, we had something called COVID, obviously.
Yeah, but I want to get to the whole race point. The issue I have with these people.
Okay.
Is that the demographic decline in the United States is not mainly happening due to immigration. It's happening to birth rates. So that if I told these people, I would have told that blonde woman next to me, I said, just have more kids, outnumber the people. That's a more appropriate response because the fertility rate can also be a huge factor. Now, I do believe that the United States, we have to see that there are some issues with diversity. Las Vegas is not racially diverse in every neighborhood. People do tend to
I think it's more diverse here than in a lot of other places across the country.
It is true, but there are some neighborhoods that are not so diverse on the outskirts. Good
because
question.
You mentioned,
look,
hold on, let me just give you some stats. This is important because you said Fremont's doing well. Las Vegas hotel occupancy dropped nearly 15% in June, another 17% in July. This is the steepest decline among the top 25 U.S. tourism markets, according to data research by the Sniff Travel Research, and it gets worse. 13.2% fewer international travelers visited Las Vegas in June compared to last year. Hotel revenue fell off a cliff, dropping nearly 29% to just $102.75. This is not an accident. But hold on.
People have to tell me what's the goal of what America's going to look like in 50 years, why it's being done, and will it get to the point where too much of one thing, where the drawbacks will outweigh the benefits?
So what was your problem with the Democrats? What was your problem
with
Kamala Harris?
I'm going to explain to you.
Okay.
I called on your show several months ago about Bill Maher. Okay. And I work in the architectural field. I work in terms of planning and everything. California is the most difficult state to build housing. And this will bite them hard because if there's a shortage of housing, prices go up, people move out. That is a fact. When you submit permits and plans, there's a lot of opposition. The process is long. There's a lot of environmental reviews. It's harder to build a skyscraper or a house here in California than it is here. We know that. That drives up prices. California home prices were pretty expensive before Trump ran for president. They've been overpriced for actually above the average for decades now. Okay. And that has the consequences of them losing house seats. People are moving out of the state. Bill Maher has talked about it. California has one of the highest gasoline prices in the country. They pay $1 more than we do here, $1.50 more than many other states.
But Gavin Newsom doesn't set the gas prices. You know that.
I do believe that, and he is right. There is gouging. We do find out when Russia
under the Biden administration, these companies were making record profits. And we have a war in Ukraine. We had COVID. Of course, gas prices were going to go up.
But the spikes were different in this part of the country, especially California.
So I'm confused. You're saying that it's Democrats' fault that gas prices are up in
partially,
California?
yes. Their tax policy, their other
tax policy. So
they have the highest gas taxes.
Then why wouldn't you criticize Donald Trump's tax policy for giving
state tax?
Okay, but Donald Trump in the big beautiful bill has given the biggest tax breaks to the top 1%.
I'm not surprised, but I'm just saying.
But if you say you're not surprised, why are you criticizing Democrats?
There's gaps. I told you, California is way more expensive than New Mexico.
There's higher demand in California, though. If there's going to be a higher demand, of course prices are going to be higher.
I believe
if you go into
Gray Davis,
if you go into a small city where there's a low population, of course those gas prices are going to be lower than LA.
No, but in the late 90s, California and America was here. Okay. Now it's like here.
Okay, but
the gap has widened, and it's widened in Las Vegas because we get our supplies from those refineries. I lived in the state of California. If I would have stayed, and when I sold my stocks, I would have paid tens of thousands of dollars in capital gains taxes. When I came to Nevada, I saved a lot of money. So, and I agree, there's upsides to progressive taxation, but sometimes they end up targeting the bottom 50%. And this is my concern. A lot of these Democrats are not even progressive. They're just essentially selling out to their corporate buddies. They can as well, just like the Republicans.
But in that Jubilee debate, they were talking about a lot of issues that MAGA Republicans talk about. Mm-hmm. There were a lot and you weren't one of them, but there were a lot of bigoted views that were put forth, and many of those views are shared by the far right. And I think that's why Mehdi Hasan, I'm going to be honest with you, I was in shock. I couldn't believe.
You did a pretty decent job.
Not from you, but I couldn't believe what some of these people that you were sitting next to were saying. And I think this is a big problem in this country. Listen, there are people on the far left that I don't agree with either, but in this debate, if you want to go back to the Jubilee, I'm happy to do that with you. There were literally Nazi sympathizers that were there. I was
shaking. I know. I was shaking.
I mean, did you talk to that guy? The guy who lost his job.
I spoke to him. I have his number.
What did he say to you when you guys weren't recording? Did you have a conversation with him?
Thank you for, speaking out for our people, and thank you for hearing me out. And
you thanked him?
No, he thanked me.
He thanked you?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you think you have anything aligned with that guy?
Oh, he wants authoritarian dictatorship. Oh, no.
You don't?
No.
Did you say anything like that to him?
No.
You just were, was it because maybe you were?
But what was I supposed to do? Ignore him and just say F off? I mean,
I wouldn't have ignored him. I would have said, you're despicable. I think you don't represent Americans and you're a white supremacist. What about the other guy who walked away from Mehdi Hasan saying you should be deported? Did you talk to that guy?
I think I did. I don't remember.
I mean, your family is full of immigrants.
I did speak to the blonde woman, and she told me that I'm not going to date you because of your race.
Well, she's a racist pig. That's what I would have called her.
No, but the stats show, though, that white women are less likely to intermarry than any other race.
And that might be true. By the way.
But that's why race matters. I mean, we see more white men with Asian women than the other way around. So, even Persian men go for Asian women than the other way around. So
let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Okay?
And that is causing demographic change. Because if they have offsprings, they do.
So, Cyrus, everybody has their physical attributes that they like.
I dated 2 Latino women this week.
Okay. Good for you, man. But everybody has their preference. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about. When somebody goes up to somebody and says, I would never date you because of the color of your skin, they're a bigot. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I usually don't date white women. It's not because I don't like white people. It's a physical thing for me, I guess. I don't know. But it's not because I'm a racist towards white people. But I feel like, and you tell me if you disagree, when this white blonde woman, and I know who you're talking about because she was one of the idiots, not you, but she was one of the idiots that debated Mehdi Hasan. She goes up to you. She knows almost nothing about you. and she goes up to you and she says, I wouldn't date you because where you're
No,
from.
I asked him. I asked
Okay.
her personally, would you date me?
And the answer that she gave you, to me, is bigoted in nature. Instead of saying, maybe, maybe not, I don't know, and being nice.
But I have relatives that say some of them stick within your own ethnicity.
And that's okay, but there's a way to say it without acting like a bigot.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember how she said it, but I can't remember. I mean, it's...
Do you think she's racist?
Look, it depends what racism is. If I were to say, hey, this color skin, you're not allowed in my property or business for whatever reason, that is racist. That is harsh. That's absolutely disgusting. But when I look at patterns, when I see people moving to Idaho and Montana, and I see a lot of that, I feel that it's because of white flight, that people are moving to Coeur d'Alene, Missoula, and all those other areas. I've been there. I took a road trip there. I think that kind of tells me that people tend to like to live in areas like themselves. So when you see the population growth, now, do I have any interest of living there? No, not really. You know, I actually enjoy like it here. My apartment building is diverse. But here's what I do oppose. I do oppose that the powers that be come out and say that, hey, it's not diverse enough. We got to bring massive numbers of refugees and mix it up. I don't believe that. Okay, I do believe in self-separation, but I don't believe in government.
You do
force.
believe that there are people that are discriminated in this country based on the color of their skin. You would agree with me there, right?
Well, I mean, you can say DEI is against people like me and East Asians.
I mean, when Donald Trump blames DEI for a plane crash, doesn't that offend you? When Charlie Kirk says, should I trust this pilot because he's black? Doesn't that offend you? It offends me, and I'm not black.
No, but there's black people that can be qualified. There's many smart black people.
Of course there are.
Yeah.
Of course there are. But I feel like within the Republican Party, we hear this term DEI. And this is my personal opinion, Cyrus, and you're probably going to disagree with me. But I think when MAGA Republicans use the term DEI hire, it's another word for the N-word.
Yeah.
I think it's hate.
But I want to get to this subject because...
But you talk about DEI. You agree with Donald Trump that we have all these people that are unqualified, that are minorities getting hired in this country?
I have to look at the case. I have to look at every case.
Do you agree with Donald Trump
say...
when he blames DEI for plane crashes? He did that in the plane crash at Reagan International
But did
Airport.
he investigate it?
Of course he didn't.
Okay.
It was hours.
It
was hours after the crash, and he blamed it on DEI.
If he said
hires.
possibility, then that's a different story. But
why would you even say that, though? Without having any facts to back it up, why would you even say it's a possibility that the reason why this plane crash happened is because they hired a bunch of black people?
I want to get to the heart of this issue because
I think we are in the heart of the issue. I think a lot of people on the far right are racist. I really do.
Look, but you could say that abortion disproportionately affects non-whites if they get it, because that impacts their numbers. You can say that the very blue counties of Marin County, California, and Martha's Vineyards, they have housing regulations that restrict growth. That can
you're anti-abortion. Is that a fair characterization?
I think it should be taboo, but no, I'm not against it.
So you don't agree with what Donald Trump did was leaving it up to the states, and in half the states in this country, abortion is illegal. You don't agree.
That issue doesn't really concern me, but
it doesn't concern you at all.
No,
telling a woman what to do with her body doesn't concern you.
I mean, you know, if it's in the case of rape, incest, or thing, that's a different story.
Okay, well, I'm glad we agree on that.
Yeah,
I agree with you because, as you know, in some states there are no exceptions.
Then the kid grows up and then he needs to get help, and I get the story.
Yeah.
But
I just don't like telling anybody what to do.
I will say this though, that being against the traditions of America, if you want to be white, and if the woman wants to get married young, you're straight, you have a nuclear family, I'm saying that there should not be a war against that.
What do you mean? There's a war against that? What do you mean?
I'm saying if there is, I don't know, because
name me a Democrat in office that is against the nuclear family. I don't understand that argument. Help me understand.
I haven't even heard of it, but it has changed.
Can you help me with this?
It has changed.
Nuclear family argument, Cyrus, because you're an important person to ask because you brought it up. I hear
I'm just saying if somebody wants it, they should be able to get it. I'm not saying it's the perfect way.
I understand.
But I'm just saying it's like,
of course, we live in a free society.
If you want to live the old-fashioned way, it should not be an issue. But here's the point with immigration. When I have elected officials, and I could be wrong, when Jacky Rosen feels that non-citizens are a higher priority than U.S. citizens, when Selena Torres, the assemblywoman, believes that non-citizens are a higher priority, that's what bothers me. That's concerns me.
What do you mean by higher priority?
They care more about them. They're willing to meet with them.
So you have politicians that have openly said that they care more about immigrants or undocumented immigrants than American citizens? I don't
That's
recall
what I
seeing
feel.
that statement.
I do
Okay.
feel that way.
Well, I
and,
think
and they've
everybody-
changed in the last 15 years.
Well, I think everybody should be.
They used to be for finding employers, securing the border. You look at old tapes from the late 2000s. They've had their immigration stances change.
You agree with me that most immigrants, undocumented or not, in this country are not violent criminals? You would agree?
Oh
with
yeah,
me?
absolutely. I don't believe the crime problem is because of that.
So why?
But there are bad apples.
So
though.
of course, there's bad apples everywhere. I agree with
you have
but,
angel moms. Their concerns
but Donald
are
Trump
legitimate.
is the guy that said these Mexicans are rapists and they're bad people, and I suppose some of them are good people. They make it sound like immigrants and people that look like you want to rape your kids. You can't be.
Oh, they've told me that. They told me, you are going to do something to white women and all that stuff.
So how could you support people like that? That's despicable.
No, I believe that they should have the freedom of speech to say what they want. And if they tell me like that, I tell them
they have the right for freedom of speech. I don't disagree with you, but there's a difference. See, this is where I think we disagree. I agree with you that they have freedom of speech, but it doesn't mean you have to support these people. It doesn't mean you have to vote for these people. Tom Homan, Donald Trump, and his administration are gloating. They're calling it Alligator Alcatraz. They're putting up stuff on their official White House X account of an immigrant, dangling and alligators eating them. Your family is from, you can't be okay with that. It's one thing to make the argument about freedom of speech.
But it's still fairness, though. I mean, there has to be a different truth between legal or not.
But Alligator Alcatraz, people that are nonviolent criminals being sent to El Salvador.
Well, that's
what they're doing, though, Cyrus. Here's what I want to do. Here's what I want to do. There might be some people that agree with you. There might be some people that disagree with you, but we have a lot of people that want to talk to you. So if you don't mind,
absolutely,
I do want to open up the phone lines, and I appreciate you being here. By the way, his name is CyrusHojjaty. The number to call, now's the time to do it. You have a chance to talk to Cyrus. The number to call is 702-221-7283. And again, that number to call if you'd like to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. A lot of you are asking me, well, who's Cyrus? Well, I've met Cyrus before. He's politically active. I think he's an avid listener of this show and other shows. And Cyrus appeared on the Jubilee debate with Mehdi Hasan, which, by the way, went viral. That went viral. And Cyrus is nice enough to be here and talk about it. By the way, Cyrus was very toned down compared to a lot of extremists that were debating Mehdi Hasan. And I thought it was absolutely crazy what some of these people were saying. So why don't we get right to the phone lines? And again, that number to call is 702-221-7283. Again, that number 702-221-SAVE. And I agree with Cyrus on a bunch of different issues. We do have something in this country called freedom of speech. I do think Donald Trump is attacking that. He wants to sue all these people, and he wants to, put people in jail that disagree with him. But yes, we do have something called freedom of speech. Yeah. But that also doesn't mean that there aren't consequences for your words. I think, Cyrus, you would agree with me on that. So this guy who called himself a fascist, an open fascist and a Nazi sympathizer, was fired from his job. I think he deserves it. I don't know how you feel about that. You spoke to this guy.
It depends on what position he had.
Well,
if he's in the back room, nobody sees him, then that's different than in customer service. Because if he was like a cashier at a grocery store, that would be a different animal. Because he'd lose business.
Well, I wouldn't want him working for me. A guy that's an open fascist who laughs about it and defends Nazis. I mean, I don't care what job he has, unless you're a Nazi yourself. I don't know.
The coworkers would be.
I don't know why.
Too.
I don't know why you would want to hire somebody like that. All right, let's go to the phone lines right now. And again, that number is 702-221-7283. Cyrus is nice enough to join us here. I think we have CJ. Is that right? CJ is on line 1. Hi, CJ. Thanks for calling in to
Hey,
you're on with Cyrus. Go right ahead.
Hey, Cyrus. Hey, Brian.
Yes, sir.
Talking a little bit about DEI. Last year, I think it was, last spring, the cartoonist known as Ruben Bowling. Ever heard of him? He does the Tom the Dancing Bug cartoon.
I'm not familiar, but go ahead, sir.
Oh, he does it. It's a brilliant political comic strip that he publishes like about weekly or so. And there was a strip on the subject of DEI. I'm going to try to get to it here. I had it up, but I was trying to find the actual link to his page. But and it said that DEI is weakening America and has to go. Because it, and I happen to agree if we go by the definition in this comic strip.
So would you consider Pete Hegseth to be a DEI hire?
He's a DUI hire.
Fair enough. What about some of the others in Trump's administration? Like,
oh, definitely. Well, see, let me get to the point here because the point is DEI as the Tom the Dancing Bug cartoon defines it is demographically entitled idiots.
Well, let's let Cyrus respond to that because he might disagree. Go ahead, Cyrus.
I don't believe in DEI because it doesn't benefit me. We have people of my ethnicity and East Asians that outperform the national average, and I don't believe that somehow that we have to kind of give preferences to kind of because this is where the whole premises is about, is to have overall we want the outcomes to be equal, not just among races but among genders. So by that logic, when let's say the major cities, San Jose has the largest gender pay gap in the United States. By that logic, they believe that San Jose is the most sexist city in America. But we all know why. But again, we don't look at, okay, what kinds of jobs they have in that city. So this is all about equal outcome. And I don't want to sound like an extremist. I don't know if you're ready for this, but differences among racial groups from I've recognized have always existed for over 500,000 years or so. When you look at civilizations in sub-Saharan Africa, when you look at the Persian civilizations, the Chinese civilizations, European civilizations, we've always had differences. Why do you think Congo and Angola have the lowest math scores, and let's say Japan and South Korea, Taiwan have the highest test scores, and Iran is in between? Because you could see that similar patterns of achievement exists all over the world.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that. It could be wealth. It could be education. I mean, I would also
it does matter.
Why is it Donald Trump couldn't pass a third grade civics test? I mean, we can say that there are a lot of people in
individuals are different, but
six out of 10 Republicans in this country believe that Donald Trump won the 2020 election. So I mean, you know, we can go back and forth on what people believe and all that, but go ahead, sir. I'll give you the last word. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Anyway, well, first to address what he just said, there's actually been some deep studies on that. A lot of it is because simply latitude, and I mean distance from the equator. Mm-hmm. Basically, we can't have civilization without metal.
Yeah.
Modern civilization.
Yeah, I hear you.
You can't have technology.
Yeah, no, I understand.
You don't discover metal by it's not just laying on the ground. It's in ores that look like ordinary rocks. The only way you get to doing metal is if you take these rocks and subject them to fire.
I totally hear you, my friend.
Unless you live in cold environments.
Understood. I appreciate the call, my friend. We want to move on to the next caller, but I do appreciate you calling in. Thank you, CJ. All right, let's go to line 2. Let's go to Frank. Frank is next up on PTL. Hey, Frank, you're on with Cyrus. Go right ahead.
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
Good.
Cyrus, thank you. You know what this all stems from? It's your upbringing. When you are told that you have to respect other people, no matter what they are, black, white, whatever. If it doesn't start there, it will never happen in life.
I don't respect Klan members. I don't respect.
No, I don't either.
I don't respect Proud Boy members. I don't respect some of the racists that were sitting next to Cyrus in this Jubilee debate, Frank. I don't respect bad people. Okay, and that has nothing.
No, I don't either.
And yeah, I know you don't. And that has nothing to do with the color of your skin, where you're from, or even your religion. If you're a bad person, you're a bad person.
Yes.
Whether you're Bill Clinton or Donald Trump in the Epstein files. If you're a child predator, you're a child predator. And we shouldn't have people like that running the country, period.
And
I agree.
The problem is when you start getting to the point where you have that kind of opinion, you'll never go back to what people should. And that is the truth. And these people can never understand it on the far right.
I agree, Frank, and I appreciate your call. It's good to hear from you, Frank. Thank you. Thank you very much. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to line 3 now. Let's go to Mark. I think Mark has a bone to pick with Cyrus. So go ahead, Mark. You're on.
Thank you, Brian, for the opportunity. Cyrus, I'm not here to attack. I'm just here to get the facts. And you seem to agree with a lot of things that Brian said, that you're against all immigrants being deported. You're against alligator Alcatraz. But you kind of like blow that aside. And then you kind of, I don't know if you know, but you blow away the fact that he had dinner with a Nazi. You blew away the fact that the KKK endorses him. You blow away the fact that the Oath-Keepers and Proud Boys endorse him. So I want to ask you a question, Cyrus. I want to ask you one question, very simple, and I don't want to hear a slogan. And I'll hang up and listen to your answer. What policies do you like about Donald Trump? And I don't want to hear slogans. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mark.
I think that some people voted for him not because they liked his policies, but because they wanted a better candidate for 28. Because they knew that, well, that 20 candidate we had last year wasn't as good, so it's better to just make sure she doesn't win, and then we get a better candidate, and we may be better off long run. I think that was part of the logic. See, not every Trump supporter is the same. There's different shades of red. I think there are some people who are light pink. So I think that...
Do you have policy? I think he had asked you, what are the policies you like?
Well, like I said, just like I said, Pierce Morgan brought up the border apprehensions much down. I think that is, that is the record, that is the data. I can't say that data is a lie. So I have to give him credit where it's due.
Even though people are not getting due process in this country.
Like I said, I have to look at every case. I have to see what's going on. I cannot comment on something just because somebody tells me something.
Well,
I have to look at what's going on.
The Trump administration has admitted that they sent people to El Salvador prisons because they had tattoos. And they believed without those people getting any due process.
But I think that heart of my issue is I want to audit and fine every employer who's hiring these people, at least in sectors that Americans want jobs, because not every sector is the same. And I think that we should know who they are.
Donald Trump has done that. We know who he is. He's hired illegal immigrants.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I think that happened in the 80s. I'm not surprised.
But he still did it. He still did it.
Everybody should get fined regardless.
Okay.
I'm pissed off at Wall Street, hedge funds. That's where my anger is.
You think illegal immigrants that are working in this country is a bigger issue than all the gun violence we have in this country, or 15 million people that are going to be losing their Medicaid? I mean, it's a
very excellent question. It's a very excellent question. My biggest issue is that our country has been hijacked by a corporate cartel.
Okay.
The financial system, this globalist policy has not worked for the American people. And I believe immigration has been hijacked, like every other issue, to basically serve their benefits. And by the way, I think a lot of these lobbies, they can't.
I'm going to be honest with you. The people that you were sitting next to in this Jubilee thing, I find much more dangerous to the United States of America than the overwhelming majority of undocumented immigrants that are in this country that want a better life for themselves and their family. Why you're not more concerned about some of those people?
Well, you just have to research them, see if they have criminal records or violent tendencies.
I mean, they're defending Nazism. Okay. The overwhelming majority of per capita, you have a better chance, a better chance of being the victim of a crime from an American citizen than you do an undocumented immigrant. Don't those people...
I'm not surprised, but they do have a higher crime rate than legal arrivals. Legal arrivals versus non-legal. So there's still a difference.
Per capita, if you're undocumented in this country, you have a better chance of being the victim of a crime from an American citizen than an undocumented immigrant, which means...
I've seen the data.
Yeah.
I've seen the data.
So the idea that these people
But the legal arrivals, that's what I was getting to. But there's two reasons that bothers me.
No, that's not the legal arrivals. If you're undocumented in this country, you still have a better chance of being the victim of a crime from an American citizen. Those are the stats put forth by the FBI.
I'm a foreign-born that came in legally.
Okay.
That's what I was talking about. I'm sorry.
Understood.
So there's two reasons why it concerns me. The hedge funds, private equity, I believe that it's being done for their interest. And this leads me to my other point. I run an urban planning organization because my top issue in America is not not immigration. It's two things that I dislike about America. America has lost its family structure, its gender roles. Not really so much of a political issue. That's a cultural issue. The mass media is responsible because I run a local chapter of an urban planning organization. We have chapters around the world. Where America really disgusts me is its urban planning system.
Okay.
We can't get around without cars in most places. Most homes are really close together here in Las Vegas and much of the country. We have a situation where car travel has its downsides. We can't walk down the street to do our errands like we used to in the old cities. You go to other countries, especially in
you
the
care
older
about
areas.
our roads. You care about our roads. You care about construction. You care about bridges.
I
Is that a
agree.
fair characterization?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Help
and
me.
our urban planning
help
is
me
a
out.
disaster.
Help
and
me
I
out.
think until
this.
we fix the situation, we
Okay.
should not bring people into our country.
Let's get back to the calls, though. We have a lot of people that want to talk to you, Cyrus.
But that's what bothers me, is that when we can manage our country, we shouldn't bring people in.
All right. What bothers me more is we have an adjudicated rapist who's in the Epstein files who's running the country. That's just my opinion.
I'm not surprised.
It bothers me a lot less that we have a lot of undocumented immigrants here, because I think most of these people are great people. I want more people that look like you in this country, because I think most of you are wonderful people.
But what do you do with the people that are bothered by it? What do you do? Send them to the moon?
If people that are bothered by it, they can go F themselves, because people that are bothered by it are usually
You can't
racist.
change their preference, my friend.
No, but we can call them out for it. The people
But it's worldwide.
The people that want you, no, the overwhelming majority of people in this country are not racist.
No, worldwide, there's people that like to live in more homogeneous cultures.
Then let them do that. But
Yeah.
stop attacking good people in this country that want a better life for themselves. Do I wish that they came in here legally? Guess which?
A lot of countries do have stricter immigration
You think
policies.
it should take 10 or 15 years for somebody to be a naturalized citizen in this country? In some cases, it takes up to 15 years. There's one party.
It took 5 for my mom.
Okay.
It took less time for my father.
By the way, I think 5 years is too long, too. There is one party.
Well, that was in the early 90s. That was in the 70s. Things were different back then.
I understood. But there's one party that wants to make it easier for people that look like you to come in here legally. That party is the Democrat Party. The Republican Party continues to vote against bills. They don't want to make it easier for people to come into this country and be naturalized. So if the argument is you want people to come in here, but make sure you're legal, then why not make it easier for people
I
to come
don't
into this
believe
country?
they have in their best interest. I think they're being pushed by their corporate donors to get
Well,
more
whose
people
fault is
in.
that? Then they're phonies. Then they're
Democrats.
phonies.
The Democrats.
Democrats are phonies?
No, Democrats are getting a lot of corporate donors as the same as the Republicans.
Could it maybe be that there are a lot of Democrats in this country that don't care about what you look like? They want to make it easier for good people to be naturalized citizens.
There might be a few, sure.
And maybe a few. I think the majority of Democrats want to make it easier for people that look like you to be in this country.
Right.
And I think a lot of Republicans want this country to look white.
But their
That's what I think.
agenda, well, a few do. I don't think it's the vast
few?
majority of them. I don't think it's the vast majority.
I think "Make America Great Again" means "Make America White Again." But Cyrus, let's get back to the calls. Let's go to line 6.
Tucker Carlson and a few others.
One of the biggest names on the right.
Right. I mean, he has talked about demographics and culture. I mean, it's true. It's true. But you can't say all of them believe that.
I don't think all of them believe that. I never said that. Let's go to Paul. Paul's on line 6. Hey, Paul, what's going on? Thanks for calling in.
Hey, Cyrus. I'm hoping to make this a learning lesson for you, Cyrus. I want you to put the politics and policy aside for just 1 second. When he was elected, he is an adjudicated rapist. He molested a 13-year-old Katie Johnson, grabbed woman by the PUSSY. He assaulted his ex-wife. When he got elected, I had an aunt that was crying on the phone that can't understand why people like yourself didn't see rape as a red line not to vote for him. And as a content creator, I speak about this. Hold on. Please don't gaslight, because this is a serious issue. There's a lot of women that are tired and afraid to speak up because people like you don't see rape as a red line. Oh, that didn't happen. Oh, there's lots of people that make fake claims. That didn't happen. I wasn't there. I didn't see the evidence. Let me see both sides of it. No. In a court of law, he is an adjudicated rapist. What do you tell people that rape isn't a red line?
Oh, rape is absolutely a horrible crime, and I think it should be
But
condemned.
you voted for a rapist, sir.
I never admitted I did.
It wasn't a red line for
Brian, Mr. Shapiro talked that I did, but I never admit that I did. So, okay.
Well,
and if he did, okay, I'll condemn his actions. That's fine. Okay. But I think that this goes back to the gender relations, that a lot of men are also concerned about false rape accusations. And you are right. Some rapes do not go reported. So I think that there has to be some kind of...
Hold on. Wait a minute. Stop. He was found liable in a court of law by a jury of his peers to have raped G. Carroll. That is not an opinion. It's not some...
Okay, well, he should be punished, then. Go ahead.
But you still ignored it and voted for him. Why?
I never said I did on live, did I?
Well,
you voted for Donald Trump.
All right, hold on.
Did you vote for...
Let me preface this.
I'll keep this.
I did not know that Cyrus did not want me to say that on the air. And if he had told me that...
But I did give Trump credit for the things he's done. I have to give credit where it's due, just like every administration. Joe Biden, Obama, Every administration has crazy. And I think this leads me to my point. Look, my great-grandmother visited this country in the early 1960s. She loved the America back then. And I know family knows best. I feel that since Kennedy got assassinated, this country has been going downhill ever since. And I think that Trump, believe it or not, got in because people wanted change and they didn't have a better option, just like Bernie Sanders in 2016. I think that is why, Trump got in. And and until there's a better alternative, until people see that there's another route to take, then I think things can, go a different path.
All right, let's take another phone call.
Go ahead.
Do we have Leonard on line 5 or Julie on line 5? I don't know which one it is. All right, let's find out who's line 5 here. I have Julie and Leonard. So is this Julie or Leonard on line 5?
It's me.
Julie,
Brian,
okay. What's up, Julie? Go ahead. You're on with Cyrus. Go ahead. Cyrus is getting beat up a little bit here, so let's try to be
No, bring it on. Bring it on. I like
All right, go ahead, Julie.
I am trying to wrap my head around, Cyrus, that you keep backing up somebody who's a known racist, and you are colored. So I would think you would back up people. But no, you're hyping up a racist. You're covering up for him. Meanwhile, that change you talked about was taking away my health care.
Sorry to hear.
Taking away food stamps. Taking away things that could help me live. I have to take medication in order to keep my heart from going off the rails.
Well, let's talk about that.
I'm so fine about this.
Because I think Cyrus wants to stick to some policy stuff. Obviously, people vote differently, but this big, beautiful bill, and she makes a good point. I mean, there's going to be like 15 million people that are going to lose their medical coverage.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I have to look at the cases and why they're losing their coverage. I think that, again, this is going to, obviously, we do need healthcare reform. So just buying overpriced health insurance somehow is automatically not the answer. But you talk about the race issue. Look, we have to come together as a country to figure out what is tolerant and what is not. I think, for an example, that I think there's benefits to multiracial societies here in Las Vegas, but I also think white people do matter. That doesn't make me a racist for saying that.
Of course,
when I look at the
everybody matters.
When I look at the Las Vegas,
you're trying to gaslight.
Look, when you look at the Las Vegas Strip, Caesar's Palace, Bellagio, Venetian, Excalibur, Paris, these are all European themes. That's the cultural influence that we cherish. We had the Aladdin, we had the Imperial Palace. One was Moorish themed. After 9/11, we got rid of it. Our society still has a European cherish. We still feel that in a way we are an extension of Europe. And I think when I look at these themes, that tells me that those people matter. Why isn't our architectural styles? Why are they still European influence? We don't have Persian and Arab style homes. It would go well in this climate.
But some of the people that think that this stuff matters, like yourself, people in that Jubilee debate want you out of the country.
Well, they don't want the homes either.
I mean, it's sick. Thank you for the call, my dear. I appreciate you. 702-221.
Where do you draw the line, though? That's really my question. I mean, should we retheme the Caesar's Palace because it promotes whiteness and hey, let's have Persian Cyrus Palace Hotel.
Well, here's what I think. I think that if you have the money and you want to build a property, you should be allowed to build whatever the hell you want, but you shouldn't discriminate against people and tell people that they can't go into your property or they can't be a member of your property because of your skin color. That's what I think, And I think if somebody wants to build a Nazi building, they shouldn't be allowed to do that because that promotes hate speech. And I know we have something called freedom of speech, but there's somebody that owns that property and there's somebody that can sell that property and it's their responsibility.
Well, I mean, they get so much protest and opposition, they wouldn't be allowed to do in business. It just wouldn't work.
702-221-7283. Let's go to Darlene on line 3. Darlene, hey, Darlene, you're on with Cyrus. Go right ahead.
Cyrus. First, let me tell you who I am. I'm the MAGA destroyer, and I got something to say to you, and I hope I don't hurt your little feelings. But let me ask you a question, and it's either going to be yes or no. Do you know when the freedom of speech went out the window?
That's a very excellent question. Probably.
Yes or no?
No, I don't.
It was when all of you voted in that damn orange orangutan for a president.
Well,
and I'm going to tell you something else. No, hold up, bud. You need to get some balls. You are scared. You should not be in the position that you're
All
in
right.
because you are too scared to say anything to anybody.
All right, well, let's let him. Darlene, hang on the line.
Well, it's about
let
talking
Cyrus
about
respond. Go ahead.
taboo subjects and trying to reveal the truth. There's nothing wrong with that. If I am
Republicans don't know the truth.
okay, well,
They
if
don't know the
I am
truth.
somebody who is skeptical about demographic change, I should not be criticized for that. Now, the thing is when I talked about this stuff in this Nevada state legislature about civilizations 500 years ago, State Senator Melanie Scheibel cut me off. And I think that was a wrong thing to do. Now, you know, I've had good relations with her, but I think that that was a free speech violation. Now, of course, it's one thing if it's off topic. However, I just think that, you know, I should be able to speak my mind. And I don't believe in censorship in private businesses. If they want to do what they want, that's fine. But I don't. But if I run the social media platforms, I would not censor anybody. Depending on if it's attacks, if it's violence and things like that, yes. But if it's somebody that, let's just say, that's promoting the interest of European Americans, I would not censor them.
I think you could promote the interest of anybody, but I also think on social media you shouldn't be allowed to be racist and be bigoted in nature. And I think what's happening on X right now is despicable. I think what Elon Musk allows on that platform and other platforms, completely unacceptable. And, you know, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. doesn't even understand.
Dirty, yeah.
But Robert F. Kennedy Jr. did the show, and he really doesn't even understand what freedom of speech is. These are private entities.
You should know.
Well, these are private entities. It's a privilege to be on these social media platforms. If Mark Zuckerberg or whoever doesn't want you on their platform, then you're not on their platform. That's the part I don't understand about this argument of freedom of speech. It's when it doesn't pertain to the government.
I think that when it comes to that or the New York City mayor election, I think we can all agree that times are tough. America did not recover properly from the financial crisis. And I think that the Occupy Wall Street movement, the Tea Party, should have told us something.
Yep.
I think that we didn't solve our problems, and there's all these different things. And so, and just like, you know, the gender issues, there's people that feel like there's a double standard against men. They believe family court laws are stacked against men. You know, they should be able to bring in their concerns and their issues.
Are there really people in society that think men are treated worse than women?
Well, they argue the family court system is stacked against men. And I do think that. And I guess when I tell some women, like, I prefer a woman younger than me, they get a little pissed off, and it's like, well, look, I mean, there's the fertility factor.
Apparently that'd be Donald Trump, because he likes women that are teenagers that are much younger.
But he did go for foreign women, and I did go to the Philippines overseas, and I've dated, and I've told you my dating experience was much different. And this is kind of the issues I have living in this country. When men go overseas, the passport bros, I think it does show that there's something wrong happening in this country. Now, I'm not saying that everything that Myron Gaines or Andrew Tate is saying is correct, but I think that they do bring. I do like the fact that they bring up that there are some concerns, and we should look into it. And I think
you think anybody that should take any bit of credibility to what a guy like a sexual abuser like Andrew Tate has to say?
Well, I'm just saying that because there are problems with males and female relations, this is why these people have support. Because I think it's more. I guess you can say that people are concerned and they have to flock to people. So it's really more of the symptom is what we're doing.
I think there's a lot of misogyny in this country. I think women are treated far worse than men, and they're treated in so many instances like sexual objects.
I've heard the opposite.
You don't think women are treated like sex objects in this country?
Well, the woman has responsibility if she's on a street corner and she is half dressed in some district that we have out here, or going to a back alley massage parlor, or going on OnlyFans, or doing something in Pahrump. She does have responsibility. We have to make sure that, yes, there are predator men.
So if a woman is dressed sexy, she should be treated poorly? Like I don't
No.
I don't understand what you're saying.
But I'm just saying,
in Pahrump, prostitution is legal. They have the right to do that.
Yes, but the woman makes the decision to engage.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about.
But if she goes on OnlyFans, it's still the same thing.
Right, but
she has responsibility.
Right, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about men in this country that disrespect women, like Donald Trump, or commit sexual abuse or rape. I feel like as a whole, women in this country are treated worse than men. Certainly when it comes to being treated as sexual objects. And I think when Donald Trump talked about grabbing women by the genitals, for example,
that's a different story. But
I think it's the same story. It's a misogynist pig, and we should all call that out. It's horrible. when a man talks like that. If a woman talks like that, that's horrible too. But I didn't hear Kamala Harris talking about grabbing men by the genitals.
But we all have in the backroom talks about how we go bananas over women and stuff like that.
Going bananas over women is one thing. Bragging about grabbing women by the genitals and being an adjudicated rapist is something completely differently. And being a best friend to one of the biggest child predators.
So you do draw the line. That's good.
I mean, of course I do. If you're having a conversation about a woman's body parts in private, that's okay, fine, whatever. Locker room talk. Talking about grabbing women by their genitals? I played 2 sports in college, my friend. I've been in a lot of locker rooms. I've never heard a man talk like that. Anyway, Darlene, I appreciate the call. Thank you.
But anyway, I just want to say that when those people in Jubilee say one thing, it's equivalent to my grandfather, who he was a politician during the Shah of Iran. And he told me very nasty things about homosexuals, that they're sick people. And he was telling me about Elton John.
Well, then he's an idiot. I'm sorry. Okay, but this is your grandfather?
Yeah. He was a politician during the Shah of Iran.
So I'm sorry. With respect to you, your grandfather's an idiot. If you're going to talk about homosexuals that way, just because they have a different sexual
preference. But intolerance is worldwide, though.
Well, then he's a bigot.
But it's worldwide. Can you admit it's worldwide?
Anybody, I don't care where you are in the world. If you think homosexuality makes you a horrible person, then you're a freaking idiot.
Well, at least America has it better than
than
the Middle East.
I'm not sure. Isn't that sad that your grandfather believes that way? I would tell your grandfather, what is your problem? What do you care what somebody else's sexual?
And my mom tells me don't date certain women of races. They look, and my father has said nasty things about blacks, Latinos. He says,
well, that's racist.
Well, and then he says, well, the traffic problem in LA, because he lived there since 1980, is because they have so much kids and they're coming to this country. And of course, LA's problem is because of its transportation system.
It doesn't bring me any joy, Cyrus, to say this.
Yeah.
But it sounds to me like there are people in your family that are bigots. And I don't think...
But they're not MAGA people, though.
Okay, well, MAGA people are not. It sounds to me that there are members of your family...
Most of them do not like Donald Trump.
Okay, that's great. Yeah. But they seem to be okay with bigotry. And I don't like to hear that. So it can come from
all over.
It can come from all over. I agree with you. But that doesn't make it right. Whether it's your father or your grandfather or, God forbid... Luckily, I don't have anybody in my family that talks like that. But if I did, I would call them out on it because I think it's despicable.
The thing is that they believe that the 1965 Hart-Celler Act, that law that changed America.
But we're not living in 1965
But they believe that was the worst law that ever was enacted in this country.
Don't you think owning slaves was probably one of the worst things that ever happened?
I'll be honest with you. Persians had sub-Saharan African slaves brought by the Arab slave trade. They had it before the Europeans did, and they ended it after the Europeans did. And there's still blacks that are living in Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia. So, but see, that's the thing is we're going to celebrate Juneteenth. We have to be fair. I'm just saying that. That's what I told
them. Do you think it's fair to have members of your family judge people because of their sexuality or their skin color? Would you consider that fair?
Well, they're not harming me. They're not causing me trouble. If people who are gay...
Do you think members of your family are wrong for judging people, self-admitted, you just admitted it, based on their sexuality or the color of their skin? Do you think that's wrong, Cyrus? Why can't you say that's wrong?
Oh, color of their skin. Yes, of course. Sexuality.
Your father did that. Your grandfather did that. That's wrong, Cyrus.
But most people don't tell you their private conversations. That's the thing. I tell you what it is.
Okay, but whether it's public or private, it still doesn't make it right. It means they're bigots. I mean, it pains me to say this, Cyrus. I want people to be able to treat people as equals. I know that in some cases we're going to be biased in some situations, but your grandfather is judging an entire group of people because of their sexuality. Your father is blaming the traffic in LA because of black people?
No, Latinos, they have high birth rates.
That's just ridiculous.
He said that's why it was more crowded than the Bay Area. I mean, but see, look, the influences are not coming from your typical media outlets. It comes from family. It's just, look, I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you.
Are you like that, Cyrus? Do you blame traffic on groups of people?
No, my organization says that America's transportation problem is flawed. Don't you get it? Cars don't handle as many people as they do with mass transit systems.
But I agree with you, Cyrus. Our transportation policies and what we do in this country
are flawed. You can move millions of people in this country. So I'm just saying, let's fix these problems, and then let's open the doors a little better, Cyrus, once our problems get...
You're not responsible for some of these horrible things that your family members have said. I agree with you that we have transportation issues and we could make things easier. but I would never blame it on a specific race, and I certainly would attack a sexuality.
I will give European Americans the credit for, not entirely, but partially responsible for building this great country.
Immigrants built this country.
Okay, but Europeans have credibility too. If they did not come here...
Every race has credibility.
Okay. They did not come here. This country would have not been the way it was that allowed my family to come here.
Agreed.
Just like the Europeans built successful civilizations in Europe, and we're seeing non-Europeans come in.
But this country was founded by immigrants, and now Donald Trump wants to give many of these people who are undocumented no due process. Let's go to Damon on
We have to look at every case.
Let's go to, well,
because I know Persians that have tried and they couldn't get legal status.
They're not looking at every case.
Yeah.
They're not giving people due process. Line 4 is Damon. Hey, Damon, you're on with Cyrus. Go right ahead.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
What's your guest name, Brian?
This is Cyrus.
Oh, yeah, Cyrus. Okay. Hey, Cyrus, I heard you say that you want to get rid of all the immigrants.
No,
and don't let
no.
You
reduce the incentives for them to, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, but do you understand labor history of this country?
Yes, I do know. There was the Bracero program. We've had, obviously, the U.S. had slavery before 1965, just like my parents' country. My mom told me Persians had...
Hold up. Wait, hold up, dude. You talking more nonsense. Hold up. I'm talking about from the beginning, from indentured servants, then to slavery, then from slavery to the Chinese and the Irish to build the railroad. From there, the Eastern Europeans.
Yes, absolutely. Every part of the world has done it.
This country has never existed without cheap labor. And if you close the doors off, American dream is to have your kids do better than you. If we achieve the American dream, our kids ain't picking strawberries. So
that's a very excellent point.
Do these jobs?
That's a very excellent point. But I believe that the hedge funds, the Wall Street corporate interests are pushing this immigration, and they're not doing it for the legitimate interests of the people.
Talk about what we're talking about. We're trying to talk about your plan to not let immigrants in. That's what we're talking about, not hedge funds. We get back to that.
I'm saying that if our country is run...
On a show like this, you're dealing with an intelligent clientele that Brian deal with. So at least bounce it off ChatGPT before you come on here. And Brian, about that DEI guy called with the initials, can the next time somebody that got a problem with DEI and minorities or whoever in the workplace, can you ask them their life experience and how they feel about the minorities or whoever worked with them? And I want to hear them say, yeah, that Chinese person wasn't good at their job or that Mexican was lazy.
I hear you, Damon, and I appreciate your call, Damon, and I hear you. Go ahead, Cyrus. You wanted to respond.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that, yes, America does need cheap labor. They do need, there's some jobs that some Americans won't do, and I think there are some here, although Las Vegas has one of the highest rates of unauthorized immigrants, and we have to look and see what's happened. I think it's fishy that we don't have crops or anything like that. Many argue it's hospitality, construction, but we have to see if there are Americans who do want to do those jobs.
Yeah.
But I just think that, even legal immigration can have impacts too. Let's just say, and I know Uber and Lyft has affected the taxi and limo industry, but if you have too many immigrants that want to become cab drivers, that does have an effect on whether or not, if you get a ride at Caesar's Palace, 5 minutes versus 10 minutes. Because if immigrants are disproportionately foreign-born are doing those jobs. So that does have an effect. I'm not saying they're the main problem, though, but it does have an effect.
But I guess my point is I'm not worried so much about too many immigrants coming into this country being cab drivers. You know what I'm worried more about? I'm worried more about people losing their health care.
Earnings.
I'm worried more about people losing their health care. I'm worried more about people losing their food stamps. I'm worried more about people having to pay a higher percentage on taxes that make $10 an hour than a billionaire.
Well, I think the way you can solve the wage problem is that in America we have a minimum wage, but we don't have a maximum wage. And this is where a lot of Republicans disagree with me. We don't have a policy that says a CEO, there's a limit of how much money they can make.
I agree.
And we believe that means that there's less money for their employees. That also means they can hike prices and not give their bonuses and benefits to their workers.
Who is benefiting the most off of Donald Trump's policies, the richest or the poorest?
I think that, you can make the case that less immigration means less competition, but you can also make that, yes, there are things about his tax proposal that I don't like. I don't think rich people should get tax havens.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go to...
but I do agree with his SALT deductions plan, California, so I will give him credit.
Let's go to line 3. Let's go to Tyrone. Tyrone has been waiting patiently on line 3. We're running out of time here, so let's try to get to as many as we can. Hey, Tyrone, go right ahead. You're on with Cyrus.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian and Cyrus. Now,
Tyrone, are you there?
Country never exists.
Tyrone.
Hello.
Tyrone.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay, I know your time is limited. Look, a couple of points. Your guest started off talking about free speech. Well, free speech cannot be regulated by Congress. Doesn't mean that an individual has to listen to what somebody say. You have no right to audience with me. Congress is the only organization that cannot limit speech. I can clearly walk away from anybody that's saying anything that I don't like. Now, the other part of what your guest is saying makes absolutely no sense.
Mm-hmm.
In one way, he's a conservative, but he just touted a communist theory of a maximum salary for individuals. That makes no sense.
Well, because people differ economic from social cultural policy. That's why. The political spectrum is very broad, my friend.
I'll tell you, but I'll tell you what I'm against. I'm against a Walmart company that makes billions and billions of dollars paying so many of their employees nothing. I don't like it. It doesn't mean I'm going to tell them what to do, but I just choose not to shop there.
Well, I don't shop there, and I think they're the heart of what's wrong with America. And by the way, they're one of the reasons why our cities are not pedestrian friendly.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that.
One more thing.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Let me say one more thing. You also kept bringing up the issue about traffic in LA and different metropolitan areas.
Not me, my father, and others. Yes.
Your father. Well, you need to educate your father on the fact that the traffic is so bad is because the price point on vehicles has been put to the place where more people have access to cars. It has absolutely nothing to do with immigration.
No, I haven't seen my father. I haven't seen my father since 2006. He did a lot of horrible things to my family. And
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
That has nothing to do with...
Even when we were visiting here.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I appreciate the call, sir. Thank you so much for calling into the show.
Mm-hmm.
I
like to hear other people's points of view. And
I understand, and I appreciate, you knew that you were going to come in here, and there's a lot of people that are going to call in that are going to disagree with you, but I'm sorry to hear about that, about your father. Just when you told me that your father blamed certain races for the traffic in LA and that your grandfather was attacking homosexuality as them putting them all in a group of bad people, it's shocking to me that people still think like that, but they do. I'm happy that you don't think that way.
He's very old, and I still love him. And
listen, he's your grandfather, so I understand that. But it's sad that people think that way. But listen, bottom line here, because we got to take a break.
Both of my cousins who live in California voted for Kamala, by the way.
Yeah. All right.
Female cousins. So yeah.
So listen, I'm glad that you are not one of those people.
Can you admit that California has problems and Democrats are to blame?
The country has problems.
No, but California has changed for the worse for the last 50 years. That's my problem with the Democrats. I mean, they have literally, it was the jewel of the world in the 1960s and 70s, and then it went downhill more than any state in America.
It's the highest per capita state in the country, number one. So you're going to have more crime because you have more people.
I'm not talking about crime. I'm talking about the standard of living. I'm talking about the taxes, the economic business climate. I mean, that if I want to be a real estate
developer.
What's
your issue with the taxes?
Well, first of all, I think the sales taxes are too high. That's very regressive. Oregon doesn't have sales taxes.
But in this country, the richest people in the world are paying less taxes than people like you and me. That's
agree,
Donald Trump's
but
policy.
Federal is different than state. If the state is too high, then they'll leave.
I know, but if you care about middle class...
I'm talking about sales taxes. Lower the sales taxes. That hurts the poor.
Okay,
Oregon and Delaware doesn't have sales taxes.
Donald Trump's not going to do that.
So California is not really progressive.
Right. Well, to be continued. I would like. We're running out of time here. I would like for you to come back.
But that's my issue with Democrats, though. And if I want to build homes, I moved here to be a real estate developer. I'm looking to change the county lines. A different story. It's easier to get permits for housing in Las Vegas. Actually, even easier to get permits in Chicago than it is in California. And Chicago's a blue city.
Right.
And I think that the Democrats need to look and see that, hey, there's some parts to their party that are kind of ugly.
Well, there's a lot of things in this country that are ugly right now, and I'm not sure I would blame Democrats for a lot of what's going. Last I checked, Republicans are running the House and the Senate right now. There's a lot of people in this country that are struggling. Inflation,
state and local matters.
Sure, but there's a lot of problems in Republican-led states too. And
I agree.
And when you look at California, and you look at the amount of people that live in that state and blaming Gavin Newsom for, like, for example, the fires that took place there. And listen,
I didn't say that.
Well, I didn't say you said that, but there's a lot of Republicans that are the first person to do that, and then no responsibility on Donald Trump for anything.
Look, I think when it comes to gas prices, I think California has environmental policies which had an effect, but I think the oil giants use it as an excuse to gouge prices and use the taxes and policies to cover it up. So I think both are responsible. This is why I like to hear from both sides. But again, when I lived there since I was 24 years old, and I think that experience is why I think probably Trump got in. Right. I think these people are just victims, and so. But it was
I want you to stick around. I have another guest here, but just stick around here. I'd like to have a conversation with you when the show's over. If you
please,
have a few minutes. But on with us right now because we're going to do a divider with me and Nicole. But I do want you to stick around, and I do appreciate you being here, Cyrus. So joining us right now on the show, she joins us every Friday. It's always a pleasure having her on to share some positive stories with us.